Like many other states, Minnesota's system of taxation is challenged by shifting economic and demographic factors. This is causing a drag on economic growth and creating significant challenges for our state leaders as they try to balance our budget with the revenue side of that equation being based on an antiquated system. Although nearly all stakeholders believe that we need to modernize our current tax system, agreeing to what this should look like has proven very difficult. Today we're joined by two tax experts, one from inside the legislature and one from outside, who will help shed light on these issues for us. First, I would like to introduce to you Representative Ann Lincheski. Representative Lincheski is a Democrat in her 6th term representing Bloomington District. Representative Lincheski serves as the chair of the House Tax Committee. In addition, she is a co-chair of the House Jobs Task Force and is a member of the Balanced Budget Panel. She has established herself as one of the state's leading tax policy thinkers, and we are very pleased that she was able to join us here this morning to share her insights. So, Representative Lincheski. Joining our chairwoman here this morning, we have Mark Haveman. Mark is the executive director of the Minnesota Taxpayers Association. Before joining the MTA, Mark was vice president of a policy and technology consulting firm. He has also served on policy and project advisory boards for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, as well as for several state agencies, academic institutions, and private foundations. So welcome to Mark as well. So if you two want to join us up here. Mark somehow ended up way in the back, so it might take a couple minutes to, so. Go ahead, Paul, wherever you'd like to see. Okay, grab some water. Thank you, Mark. So let's go ahead and start off the questions. And actually, I will just let folks know that Representative Lincheski is on her way to Hong Kong, I believe, today, correct? So thank you for finding time for us this morning. So we're going to try to end this a little bit early so that she does not miss her flight. That would be a very bad thing. So we'll get you out of here. So let me start the first question to talk a little bit about the Governor's 21st Century Tax Reform Commission. And full disclosure, Mark, you were on that commission, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so, but that commission made several recommendations, including a repeal of the corporate income tax, creation of an upfront exemption for capital equipment purchases, exempting 20% of pass-through income from tax, expanding the R&D credit, and creating small business and angel investment credits. So the commission recommended paying for these reforms by increasing the cigarette tax and expanding the sales tax to undefined products and services. So let me start by kind of getting both of your overall impression of the recommendation from the commission. Do you agree with these? Are there different suggestions that you would have made to that? So, Ann, why don't we start with you on that?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
You got to pull it pretty close. They're a little.
How about now? Still not? How about now? Okay. Hi, good morning. I'm Ann Lincheski, and was stated I represent Bloomington, and it's really nice to be here with all of you. I served on my chamber board for a number of years when I was a Bloomington City Council member, and I know the hard work that all of you are doing and appreciate that very much. To the question on the Governor's 21st Century Tax Reform Commission, I believe is what it was called. The tax committee did spend a number of hearings actually walking through the commission report with the folks who are on the commission. And kudos to them for the hard work that they did. My comment about it is they had to do the sort of truthful work that those of us in the legislature know is that tax cuts cost money. And folks don't often understand this, but they had to do the work where if they were going to propose business tax cuts, which they did, they had to pay for them with a tax increase somewhere else. This is a common misunderstanding that folks have. They think that tax cuts are free. They're not. They just mean someone gets a preference and someone else doesn't. And so you have to make up for that, or you have to cut government somewhere. So the 21st Century Commission proposed broadening the sales tax base and bringing in services, and proposed a cigarette tax increase to pay for the other preferences they were buying in the tax code. Sort of I guess the hallmark was cutting the corporate tax cut. And there's broad consensus, I think, with moderates and centrists in both parties that this is a worthy goal. The corporate tax rate is high in Minnesota, although it has a very narrow base, which is often misunderstood. And it's something to remain competitive we want to look at. The problem is to do that, it costs the state about $780 million over 4 years. So both Democrats and Republicans have proposed reducing this tax, if not abolishing it. There were a number of other pieces that the Tax Commission was looking at. Some were new spending programs, different tax credits. These are spending programs that actually grow the deficit. People think they make the problem better. They actually make it worse from a financial spreadsheet standpoint, and they did pay for those. There were pieces that were concerning to me personally where income tax rates were lowered for some and not others, thereby making the current regressive tax system even more regressive. So there was kind of the good, bad, and ugly, and there was a lot of things going on there, but they did a lot of work. I was the author of the bill, actually, and that was because there was no one who would author the bill. I think it takes courage for folks to have an honest discussion about trading off things in a revenue system. So this was the governor's commission, yet after we heard the report, I actually authored it so we could see all the numbers so members could look deeper at it. It was a good exercise, and I think we'll be hearing more from them. I think it's fair to say that the governor did not embrace the report. And so I do think any broad tax reform is going to probably, I think we all can figure this out. Doesn't matter which party elects the next governor, but I think we're going to need a new governor to really set forth a brand new sort of tax reform. And this will be a piece for that next governor to take a look at.
Mark, would you like to comment on the commission and maybe how you came to some of those decisions?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. And having served on the commission, I sort of feel compelled to say it's the finest piece of public policy analysis that we've seen in the state of Minnesota. We were charged with looking at the universe of business taxation from the long term, what we need to do moving forward. And as Representative Lechewski said, it requires trade-offs. We certainly looked very long and very hard at a lot of different things. We heard very compelling testimony from a number of different people. The takeaway for us was that we got to get really serious, really fast in the state about growing our tax base. The level of services that we've come to expect in the state of Minnesota are in jeopardy unless we do a very good job of building our tax capacity, our tax base here. And how do we do that? And that is really the moral of the story here for the state of Minnesota. I think the recommendations together as a package make a very compelling approach for how to go about that. There are certainly, I'm sure, various opinions about things that should be emphasized more or less by individual members of the commission. But taken as a whole, as I said, I think it makes a very compelling package. Now, of course, all these things are placed in the context of a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit. And that creates its own challenges for enacting any kind of reform like this. For as much as you want to look strategically at the future and place the tax system in that type of context, you're faced with the reality of what is going on right now in the current biennium. And I think that has a lot to do with some of the reservations with respect to some of the ambitious nature of the actual reform proposals. So, and that's not obviously going away soon, but as I said, I think we were charged with looking forward, looking strategically, what we need to do in the future in a highly global context, and I think the package speaks for itself.